Welcome to Biology Made Easy. In today's lesson, we are discussing adaptations to reduce transpiration. Welcome. Well, what is transpiration? It's loss of water as water vapor diffusing from the aerial parts of the plant. Now, transpiration occurs in all land plants. Mesophytes, xerophytes, epiphytes are included here. They have adaptations to check transpiration. But the adaptations to check transpiration is pronounced in xerophytes because they live in dry areas. And then it's also pronounced in epiphytes because they are not rooted in the soil. Well, why is it necessary to reduce transpiration? Necessary because about 98% of water absorbed by the plants is lost through transpiration, and it's lost through the stomata, that's stomatal transpiration. 85% of transpiration takes place through stomata. Cuticular transpiration is 10%, lenticular transpiration is 5%. Now, because stomatal transpiration is very huge, much of the adaptation in plants is about stomata and leaf structure. So let's look at the adaptations which we have put up here. Adaptations, stomata and leaf to reduce transpiration. We are going to discuss stomata size, density, types, hairs on leaf or around stomata. We are going to discuss leaf thickness and size, hairs, cuticle, succulent leaves, leaves swollen with gelatinous substances. We are also going to look at adaptations to reduce cuticular transpiration. And here we'll look at adaptations like waxy cuticles of leaf or stem. We'll look at hairs on leaf or stem that builds moisture on cuticle. We'll look at thick stems or leaf that reduce the surface area of cuticle. We'll also discuss scales or tough coverings on cuticles. Then we'll also look at adaptations to reduce lenticular transpiration. And in that, we'll look at thick barks with a suberin and cork cells. We will also discuss other adaptations of plants to reduce transpiration, like spatial growth of plants and perennating structures. Good. Well, so adaptations on stomata, we look at stomata size, and in land plants, stomata can be either on the upper epidermis or on the lower epidermis, or in both upper and lower epidermis. If you look at this cocoyam plant, you see that when the leaf is young, very small, developing, opening up, it's rolled up. So when it's completely opened up, it's possible we have stomata on both upper and lower surfaces. It will be good to do experiments to check that. But in hydrophytes, you have stomata only on their upper epidermis, upper surfaces, because if it's on lower epidermis, the water will block the stomata. So besides size of stomata, we also discuss numbers per unit area. That's the density of stomata, also have something to do with transpiration. Besides that, we also have to look at the type of stomata. We have stomata that is sunken, meaning the stomata is found hidden kind of in the leaf, so that moisture will build up in the stomatal chambers and these areas here, so that not plenty of moisture leaves the leaf. So you have this marram grass. This one, it has stomata on the upper epidermis, and what it is that the leaf is rolled up so that the stomata which is on the upper epidermis is rather hidden in this gap, so that this rolled up gap has a lot of moisture built up here to reduce transpiration. So the leaf is rolled up, and that is an adaptation to reduce moisture diffusing from the stomata. Then we also have hairs that are found on stems, leaves, and every part that is exposed to air. So in this tomato plant, we have hairs here on the stem. There are hairs on the leaves, plenty of hairs in lower epidermis. There are some hairs, tiny hairs on the upper epidermis, hairs. And the hairs trap moisture around the leaves and the stems and the flowers. Even the flowers have hairs. The hairs trap moisture and so prevent more moisture leaving the stomata or leaving the cuticles. And well, we come back to marram grass. It's not only rolled up to hide the stomata, but it also have hairs that will build moisture in the surfaces of the leaf. This plant here has a lot of white hairs all over the leaf, both the upper epidermis and the lower epidermis. Now, the hairs do not only trap moisture, especially the white hairs, do not only trap moisture on the surfaces of the leaf or stem or flowers, but the hairs, when it's white in color, reflect light from the surfaces of the leaf or stems. And so, well, what about cuticle? Thick waxy cuticles like we have in this aloe plant. Look at this. The whitish bit is cuticle, very thick. Then we come to this cocoyam plant. It also have this cuticle. That's it. Very neat, white, transparent. That's part of it here. And what it does is two things. The whiteness of it or the transparency of it reflects light from the surface of the leaf. And then also the cuticle has this waxy substance called cutin. We discussed it in earlier lessons. Cutin is waxy and it reduces water loss from the leaf. Well, beside cuticle, we also have scales or tough coverings, parts of plants. This pine tree here, this stem, all these bits are scales, tiny, tiny scales. You have the scales, brown in color. They are thick, dead tissues, so they protect the inner tissues from losing too much water. We have scaly parts also here on this climber. These are scale leaves, that's dead leaves that are scaly. They are found part of it on the stem and so reduces water loss from the stem, whether from the cuticle or if it's green and have stomata, it will help to reduce water loss. We have these scaly leaves also here, protecting parts of the petiole here, reducing water loss from the leaf. Then we have bark. Barks are thick covering that covers the whole trunk, leaving only lenticels. Well, besides these, we also have spatial growth of plants. When they grow together in groups or clumps like this, what happens is that moisture from individual plants is reduced. Loss of moisture from individual plants is reduced because they are clustered together, so water vapor or moisture is kept in between the plants. So not much can leave individual plants. That's a good arrangement to keep moisture in between plants. Well, then we also have thick stems or leaves. This is euphorbia. It has this thick stem, very thick. The thick stem means it has small surface area to volume ratio. And so diffusion of water vapor will not come easily because of the large surface area. We discussed this in earlier lessons. Right. Then when you also have a thick stem like this, thick, not only thick, it's succulent. We'll talk about that soon. But the thick stems have small surface area to volume ratio. All these ones are thick stems. And notice that the thick stems and some reduced leaves. Look at this thick stem, reduced leaf. And these are xerophytes, so that they can have reduced leaves and the stems are thick. And when they are thick like that with reduced leaves, the stems are green to photosynthesize because much of the leaf that should photosynthesize is reduced. Look at the reduced leaves in the euphorbia, very tiny leaves. So the stem, they are thick to reduce transpiration, but then they are green to photosynthesize, taking the function which the leaves, because they are reduced, will not be able to do. So we see very reduced leaves into spines. The leaves are reduced into spines, and so this is stem, thick and succulent, filled with water. Well, we have the pine here. The leaves are thick, very thick leaves to reduce the surface area, to reduce transpiration. Then, even when you have thin, wiry stems like the dodder, it's all adaptation to have small surface area to volume ratio to reduce water loss. Well, we have succulent structures like leaves that are succulent, like aloe vera. You have stems that are succulent. This one, the leaves are so much reduced into tiny structures. And these succulent structures, stems or leaves, they store water to offset what will be lost by evaporation. Then you also have plant stems or leaves that have gelatinous substances, gel, that keeps water in the leaf or stem, so that even if some is lost, there's more water to offset what will be lost in transpiration. So that is the gel in the aloe. Then we also have perennating structures that have thick scaly leaves, and they have food stores. There's ginger. You also have this perennating structure with thick scaly leaves to protect it from losing too much water, and then it's an adaptation to save the plant. So this structure has all that it takes to reduce transpiration with these thick scaly leaves around here. Check transpiration, and these perennating structures will live through adverse conditions, and when suitable conditions arise, they will sprout and form new plants. As you can see, this growing into a new plant. This one, too, new leaves are forming. A new plant is going to come out. Well, the lenticels also have adaptations to reduce transpiration. Well, this stick bark has lenticels. And what are the lenticels? They are pores. Pores in the bark of the tree through which gaseous exchange occurs. So we have a lenticel drawn here. It's a pore here. Around the lenticels are cork cells in the bark. So this bark has pores, holes, lenticels. There's also another bark. These tiny things are not lenticels, but they are lenticels on the bark, tiny holes. And the lenticels will not only do gaseous exchange, allowing carbon dioxide and oxygen exchanges, but then moisture, water vapor also can diffuse out, and that is transpiration. So the adaptation of the lenticel to reduce transpiration are these cork cells. The cork cells have a waxy substance called suberin. The suberin reduces water loss because the suberin is a waxy substance. So the area of the lenticels, these are cells that could easily lose too much water if not guarded by these lenticels. And you see how the lenticel pore is? Moisture, water vapor can build up here so that not more can easily be gotten out. So you build up a big area here that is storing moisture to reduce the rate at which more moisture can leave the cells out here. Very good, neat adaptation, isn't it? Well, here are the notes we have been discussing, put on this page for you to look through again. But if you liked our lesson, please give us a thumb and please subscribe. So we'll meet in our next lesson. Thank you very much and goodbye.